Welcome back to Great Day Houston. We're talking about healing after Harvey. One way to do that is to volunteer and do something good for someone else, and it can make you feel a little bit better about your situation. And we were just talking, Melinda, during the commercial break about how so many folks who rescued folks during the storm are going back to find them so they can kind of complete the action.
Just yesterday in a neighborhood one of our groups was in, one of the boat rescuers came in looking for the folks he'd rescued, because now he's beginning to heal, and he's going back to look for those people. In the moment, he jumped in and did what was necessary. Now he's got to start taking care of himself, so he's going back to find those people, to try to interact with them, try to build a relationship. They had that moment of intense connectivity. Now they need a relationship, and he's going back looking for it.
And then there are other people who watched hours and hours and hours of this, and it made you feel great that human beings will do that for strangers, right? But then there are a lot of folks who thought, why am I not out there doing that? And they have this survivor's guilt type of thing, right? Yeah. So in doing that, you can get rid of that survivor's guilt probably pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, there are many places you can volunteer. So again, we've been training, thousands of volunteers the last several days at Second Baptist. So just, go to our website, second.org, and sign up and volunteer and be a part. So it's interesting about Houston. Houston, we've been through so many tragedies and floods over the years and hurricanes, and we unite across religious lines, ethnic lines, political lines, and we make it happen.
Yeah. Well, on
the freeway, so we're the friendliest city in the world. Yeah. But on the freeway, we will cut you off.
Yeah, we will cut you. Yeah, we can't be everything, right?
I don't understand. Y'all tell me that you guys are like, what is the dichotomy there? But anyway, that's a whole nother show.
That's a whole other deal. Yeah. It was funny because I sent a text to Mayor Sylvester Turner, and I said, just think about it. You've gone from statues to storms, but it's one of those things that really kind of, we were all vulnerable at that point. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of what brings us all together to help, because you never know when next time you might be the one who's in trouble there.
Right. Say no fighting in the lifeboat. Everybody's just got to get in and do the work, and the best way to do that is together.
Yeah, and there are different personalities. You know this all from psychology. There are those people who do get the boat down and go into harm's way to rescue people, and then there are other people who are better suited to helping people figure it out on the back end. So we all have something that we can do.
Yeah, and if I could speak to that part that, the question of the person about, what I have some guilt because I'm just kind of watching this take place. This is not over.
Yeah.
The response to this is not over. It's far from over. The people who were most vulnerable are going to be impacted over the longest stretch of time. And so there's plenty of opportunities through Second, through any number, Houston Food Bank, any number of community agencies that are working round the clock for months on end. This is going to go on and on.
And this can be as simple as being nice, letting somebody in traffic. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Angela says, my sister and kids are staying in my house. I'm paying for everything. At what point should they start contributing? You feel guilty for asking because they've been through some stuff.
Punt to me. Well, I think that's a really tough one. My knee-jerk reaction is that if you don't talk about it, it will become resentment, and it will begin to tear at the relationship.
It gets down to basic communication.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's just a matter of unpacking it and saying, hey, this is sometimes people will say, well, how do I approach this really difficult conversation? I say like that. Just say, this is a really difficult conversation for me. This is awkward and uncomfortable.
My household has grown.
My household has grown. And I don't know what to do next. And help me out here.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? And just saying, here's my struggle, and then allowing them to kind of meet you halfway.
Yeah. And isn't that the core of almost every counseling session that you have, is people have a hard time communicating. Yeah, and I think, and the guilt is really probably on her because she feels like she can't ask somebody who's just been victimized by this storm, whereas I'm willing to bet if she just says, what can you help me out with? And you ask it that way, then it's not a demand, it's just saying, can you help me out? What can you help me out with? And maybe she hasn't thought about it, and you might get a great answer out of that. All right, Jenny says, I have horrific memories from Harvey. So how can I deal with this stress? I've even considered taking medication. All right, so we don't have a psychiatrist up here, but medication we know in mental health can help get people through an event like this. It's very different from mental illness, right? And that's a conversation to have with a doctor?
I think Melinda and I both, and the interesting thing actually is that the first person that someone will go to is actually their clergy
Yes.
or their general physician, right? So I think Dr. Young probably gets more of that, maybe sometimes even than Melinda and myself, because people are coming to us for talk therapy, and generally recognize that we don't provide medication. But a lot of times we are assessing for that. We're constantly assessing for that, whether that's going to be a useful approach to people, and sometimes it is. It's a good adjunctive treatment to
Take the edge
to
off
talk
a little
therapy,
bit,
but it's not always warranted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think time too. Sometimes time heals. So as this plays out, if she continues to have these nightmares, then she may want to look at talking to a psychiatrist, psychologist. But that's normal. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us are having nightmares about what happened.
Yeah, and it's getting back to, again, about it's uncomfortable for us to feel, and with with our pharmaceutical community today, we don't have to feel so many things. That can get us into some trouble, but that's one of those things that you have to make sure that you have a good professional who can guide you through that.
Sure.
All right.
Because at some point we have to go back to daily life, and so we have to be able to function in our worlds as well.
All right, and feeling is not a bad thing, right? It might not be comfortable at the time, but it's not a bad thing. All right, thank you very much. We're going to take a break with more of your questions when we come back.